seen various forms of revival in the last 25 years. The 30s, the 40s, the 50s, even the 60s have been revived in various different ways. We've seen Teds, mods, rockers, even psychedelia make a comeback, sometimes more than once. But when a few weeks ago I started to hear that punk was reviving, I was very surprised, because I didn't even know it was dead. Around 1979, punk clubs as such had vanished, and punk venues faded away almost in direct proportion to Adamant's rise to glamour as a teeny idol. But last month, without much warning, the Tribe opened on Tuesday nights in Leicester Square. Here, if you like Mohican haircuts and bondage trousers, you can pogo to progressive punk groups like Blood and Roses. This is their first single, which came out last week.
It's not just punk in a sort of 76 sense, it's punk in an 83 sense. Be part of it, not negative, destroying, but acting, creative, feel optimistic and positive about the future. But we want people to see the band, not just come down because it's a club and just to doss around and pose, be looked at, be seen by other people, their dress and all that shit. Because I think that's what happens in a lot of clubs today. You know, it's McDonald's entertainment in places like the Palace, and we want people to come down here, be the club. That's what we really want. The people in it to be the club.
It's more down to earth. Don't get so many people posing around the place. A bit more at ease here.
You didn't have a chance to be in the original thing, and this is your chance to...
I was about 12 years old at the time, and in Italy you don't hear about these things until 10 years later, so, you know. Obviously their dress is different, their attitudes are slightly different, and music tastes are slightly different, but I think they've continued in the same way.
To me, it's a welcome relief from the glossy nostalgia of Blitz kids and new romantic glamour. All more the expression of a desperate fashion world than the explosion of the zeitgeist. Now sweaty old punk is back, and as in 1976, when the Sex Pistols became the ferret at the throat of that frightened rabbit, the music business, the reasons are chiefly boredom with the current scene.
I think also the reason for the number of bands that are sort of coming out onto the scene is it's a question of necessity, as well as the anger that they're feeling through the poverty and sort of being pissed off with their general situations. It's a kind of way out, isn't it? You feel, you know, well, my personal feeling is that, you know, it's the only thing I've got to be able to get me out of complete sort of lassitude and boredom. You know, it gives me an object to go for. Yeah. Not necessarily money and riches, but, you know, some kind of...
focus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What musicians do you write? I mean, who do you think is a good singer?
I don't. I don't have any heroes. They're all useless. Well, there's no bands around, is there? None. None that are accessible.
Well, before you...
Unless you pay a fiver to see them, and then you can't see them.
And what sort of people came to see you in the beginning?
I don't know, just bored people. Bored out their brains with hippies.
What's this thing you've got against hippies?
They're complacent.
You're just attacking Chopping and Pops and the sort of bands that are on there. What, do you think they're relevant to the kids 16, 17?
Of course they're not. Relevant to their mums and dads, but that's about all.
What about bands like Rod Stewart?
What about him?
Mums and dads, yeah. He's all round, isn't he? All round entertainment.
He's an old
Rod Stewart gets up there and starts
like going on with the string orchestra, you know what I mean? It's not what you feel like. So you've got to have some music what you feel like. Otherwise you go balmy, don't you?
I think their attitudes really stink. Now, anyway, it's just like... There just has to be new groups, and then that's what you got.
The Sex Pistols say they hate hippies, everything they stand for, and the hippies are what went wrong with music. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's right. I think that's where the complexities came in, you know? And people thought, oh, we better buy our Moog synthesizer, or we'll get caught out, you know? Like maybe...
If there's any around, we should, like, you know, jump into action immediately. Because, you know, I suppose it ain't their fault. They've had too much dope.
Yeah, lying on the floor and looking at the ceiling.
But it's another generation to yours.
Yeah, one that went wrong.
Groups like the Sex Pistols and the Clash felt that what was going on then was nothing less than a revolution. Young people were rescuing pop music and taking it out of the hands of an older generation.
As I said, you know, the kids took over, and I was a kid then. I mean, I'm sort of pushing on a bit now, I suppose. I mean, in comparison with the kids are doing things now, if any are doing anything of any consequence. Yeah, it was just to say, like, I'm here, and this, you know, I'm going to go about things in my own way and not be dictated to by, you know, like the Rod Stewarts and people who like the pop moguls and stuff, who aren't really in touch with what was going on. I mean, it was a street kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Did you realise what you were starting then?
Yeah, actually. When you got something good, you know that you got it. I mean, you feel a confidence, like an inner confidence.
People like John Savage, now a journalist, saw the Pistols as the expression of all their frustrations with music and politics and were inspired to self-expression.
I felt so energised and so excited at the time that I wanted to do something myself, and the thing that I really wanted to do was write. I never wanted to be in a rock group. That was never a particularly viable option. And the only other thing to do at the time was to write, and also I was interested in graphics and visuals. So I was working at the time, and in my lunch hours and any time I could sneak away, I stuck together